Good evening once again. Thank you for joining us. I call to order this June 23rd, 2026 meeting of the Blair Mayor and City Council. I am Mindy Rump, the Mayor of Blair, and I'm pleased to have joined us this evening. You've all heard this before, and I'm going to read it again. This is a public meeting, and you are part of the process. I encourage you to participate, share your thoughts, and ask questions. I do want you to feel comfortable, and I will do everything that I can to make sure that your voice is heard. We do have several rules to help us proceed with this meeting, and I ask that you please keep them in mind. Please turn off your cell phones, and if you need to take a call, step outside the chamber. When you wish to speak, simply raise your hand, and I will call you forward to the podium. Brenda Wheeler, our city clerk, must record who you are, so please state your name, spell your last name, and state your address. Please keep your remarks brief, about 3 minutes, so others have the opportunity to speak. And I will be timing you tonight, so try to keep it right at those 3 minutes. Unless you are the applicant, you are allowed to speak a little bit longer. You must speak to the city council, to myself, or to city staff. We do want you to be respectful of everyone in the room tonight. We ask for decorum. We have a very passionate citizenry here tonight, and we want you to feel comfortable voicing your opinion. We ask that there's no speaking or murmuring behind anyone when they are standing at the podium. We're also asking that you refrain from clapping, as it is disruptive to the flow of the meeting. We want you to be respectful of everyone's time. If you are in support of a speaker, simply raising your hand will be sufficient enough. A copy of the Open Meetings Act has been posted by both exits, and we will begin this evening with the roll call of members.
Banner,
Present.
Paulson,
Here.
Long,
Here.
Wolf,
Here.
Willis,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Letcher,
Yep.
Heifel.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. If you'd please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 4, approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 5, consider resolution number 2026-074, repealing resolution number 2026-072, and amending the no parking regulations at Meadow Drive, North 23rd Avenue, and North 24th Street. Mr. Heaton.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. So, Aaron, I think there is an image. Yep, thank you. So while Aaron's bringing that up, so yes, as the Mayor mentioned, we are revisiting something we talked about 2 weeks ago, to revisit the no parking situation in Still Meadows. I know I mentioned last time this was brought to staff by some of the council members with some concerns from the fire department and just access in and around that neighborhood during an emergency. After that meeting, some feedback, staff received some feedback. I think the council received some feedback. I worked with Councilmember Heifel, and we kind of revised the plan, if you will, to what you see tonight. And instead of no parking stretching pretty much the whole north end of Meadow Drive and the west side of 24th Street, what we're recommending is just 20 feet in each of those directions. It's spelled out, I believe, in the resolution that it's 20 feet past the end of the curb. So once you come around the curb, that 20 feet will start. If approved, the public works guys will put signage up. They'll say no parking, from here to curb, so everybody knows where you can and cannot park. But I think this would still achieve that same result to give room for the fire trucks, bigger equipment to get through, and still compromise and leave more parking spaces for residents. Any questions?
I just have a comment. The only comment is I appreciate the citizens coming out, reaching out to us. I guess we were a little aggressive with our red pins. But we also will say is we're going to have fire department run some apparatus. Once this is done, people parking, we'll run the fire department, run some apparatus through there just to make sure it's all good. And we don't need to adjust anymore or anything like that. So thank you.
Mr. Heaton, I want to commend you and the city and you, Mr. Highfield, for responding to citizens' concerns and adjusting that to, I think that's going to probably be a nice compromise, much more livable for the residents in that area. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other
I have a gold
questions?
star.
Sorry, no. Any other questions for Mr. Heaton?
Gold star.
No? Okay. Council, how would you like to proceed?
Thank you, ma'am.
I'd like to introduce resolution 2026-074.
Resolution number 2026-74 was introduced by Councilmember Highfield, repealing resolution number 2026-72 and amending the no parking regulations at Meadow Drive, North 23rd Avenue and North 24th Street.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2026-074.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second, to approve resolution 2026-074. Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 6, I'll open a public hearing to consider an ordinance adopting an updated future land use map for tax lots 292 and 293 located in the northwest quarter of Section 13, Township 18 North, Range 11 east of the 6 p.m., Washington County, Nebraska, otherwise known as 679 and 765 South 10th Street, changing the future land use from residential to commercial. Mr. Byerman.
Good evening, Mayor Rump and council members. Jeff Fireman, Community Development Director, City of Blair. First from the Planning Commission agenda, that's first of the month. We have several items before we get to several items that City Administrator Green will present. First up, we have the updated future land use map. This is on South 10th Street, south of No Name Creek and north of Wilbur. This will be the last portions of South 10th Street that will be moved with hopefully into Office Park from the remaining RMH, high density. This kind of fits in the whole plan for the South 10th Street. Turned out to be kind of a office park zoning, which gives a nice buffer between industrial and residential.
It's going a little slow, just wait for the projector.
So when I check the dial up,
Currently, the future land use map is residential. Again, in the future land use map, you have residential, commercial, industrial, not the different zoning areas that we will get to later on. Proposed change is to change these remaining two future land use parcels to commercial. Lot 292 has been sold already and be rezoned or asked for a rezone for a contractor yard. And then 293 will remain as is with a single family dwelling and accessory building. We're requesting this change to the future land use map. This will not change anything to do with the house and the farm at this time until we change zoning, which will be a request, a couple items down the agenda. Planning Commission recommended approval 7-0. Maybe. As we slowly come up, you'll see what, this is the current future land use map. You do see the two parcels we're talking about, tax lot 292, 293, are just the remaining parcels in the future land use map overlay. I'm gonna see if I can do my timing a little better as I'm talking. This just gives us an overview of showing the two parcels and without the future land use map overlay. If voted, if approved, this will now be the future land use map for all of 10th Street, south of No Name Creek and north of Wilbur, which will all be scheduled for commercial. With that, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Having none?
I'll introduce ordinance number 2619.
An ordinance adopting an updated future land use map for tax lots 292 and 293 located in the northwest quarter of Section 13, Township 18 North, Range 11 east of 6 p.m. Washington County, Nebraska, changing the future land use map designation from residential to commercial, repealing all ordinance parcel or conflict herewith, and providing this one shall be full force in effect, and order this one to be published in pamphlet form.
I move the statutory rule regarding reading on 3 different days be suspended for consideration of said ordinance.
Second.
Question.
The question before the council is, shall the statutory rule requiring a reading on 3 different days be suspended? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye. An ordinance adopting an updated future land use map for tax lots 292 and 293 located in the northwest quarter of section 13, township 18 north, range 11 east of 6 p.m. Washington County, Nebraska, changing the future land use map designation from residential to commercial, repealing all ordinance parts and ordinance conflict herewith, and providing this ordinance shall be full force and effect and ordering this ordinance published in pamphlet form.
I move for final passage of ordinance number 2619.
Second. Question.
The question now before the council is, shall ordinance number 2619 be passed and adopted? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 7, open a public hearing to consider a rezone application submitted by Jenny Erickson, 13429 Spring Ridge Loop, Blair, Nebraska, agent for tax lot 292, located in the northwest quarter of section 13, township 18 north, range 11 east of the 6 p.m., Washington County, Nebraska, otherwise known as 765 South 10th Street, changing the zoning district from multifamily residential high density to office park. Mr. Bartman.
Thank you, Mayor Rump. Now that the future land use map has been amended to allow for all commercial in the future, we move on to our next 2 items on the agenda, which have to do with the actual rezone of those 2 tax lots. They are 2 separate items. First one is by Jenny Erickson for her lot, which is recently purchased. That and a lot later on down the agenda will be considered for a CUP. But first, to get to that CUP, it does have to have a change in zoning. The changes requested is for office park. That matches everything else along South 10th Street. It's contiguous. Also on South 10th Street, basically what she's asking to do is to change that zoning to allow for a contractor's yard, a CUP down later on in the agenda. And we'll get to this. Zoning currently RMH, future land use, sorry about that, future land use has been recently changed to commercial, so everything there fits in. Of course, it talks about the intent for the office park district to develop these different areas. That is there now because as we get to the CUP, it'll be important to remember that part. So I'm trying to stretch, move time. What is it? This shows you real quick right here. This is the office park area. This is tax lot 292 requested by Ms. Erickson. If proposed zoning is passed, this will all be office park. Again, future land use map. And then this is our current zoning. If it passes, we'll leave just this one little square. With that, any other questions for this rezone application?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any comments from the public? Having none?
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 2620.
An ordinance rezoning tax lot 292 located in the northwest quarter of section 13 township 18 north, range 11 east of the 6 p.m. city of Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, from RMH multifamily residential high density to OPD office park district, repealing all ordinance parts and ordinance conflict herewith, and providing this ordinance shall be full force and effect and ordinance be published in pamphlet form.
I move the statutory rule regarding reading on 3 different days be suspended for consideration of said ordinance.
Second. Question.
The question before the council is, shall the statutory rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye. An ordinance rezoning tax lot 292 located in the northwest quarter of section 13 township 18 north, range 11 east of the 6 p.m. city of Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, from RMH multifamily residential high density district to OPD office park district, repealing all ordinance parts and ordinance conflict herewith, providing when this ordinance be full force in effect and ordering and Ordinance to be published in pamphlet form.
I move final passage of ordinance 2620.
Second. Question.
The question now before the council is, shall ordinance number 2620 be passed and adopted? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes, and I declare ordinance number 2620 duly adopted. Item number 8, to open a public hearing to consider a rezone application submitted by the City of Blair for tax lot 293 located in the northwest quarter of Section 13, Township 18 North, Range 11, east of the 6 p.m., Washington County, Nebraska, otherwise known as 679 South 10th Street, changing the zoning district from multifamily residential high density to office park. Mr. Byerman.
Thank you. This next item is a city-initiated rezone request. We work with, in the planning and zoning, with the highest and best use of these properties. Now that all of the other property has been changed to office park, that leaves one small parcel in the middle of a sea of purple. The highest and best use for that land would be also office park, which is why the city has done the application to request this rezone by staff. You'll see here as we go up with the map, it's just tax lot 293. It's a house. There's an outbuilding right there. If this passes as a rezone to to office park, the land, the house, all that will be grandfathered in. The current use can still be used. But if for some reason either of those buildings were to be destroyed more than 50%, then they could not be rebuilt as a residential. One other reason we are asking this to be changed into office park is, as it is now at RMH, it is still could be used for single family even, or whatever else. Again, the best late use of land right now with the South 10th Street corridor would be an office park. You can see right there, 679 South 10th Street is being rented. I believe Mr. Hipner owns the property yet. He's recently sold the land to the south 765. You can see right there, 679 is this little island of residential in the middle of a sea of purple. Nice color, by the way. Fits in with Blair. With that, any questions on this rezone application for tax lot 293?
Thank you.
You bet.
Any comments from the public? Having none, how would council like to proceed?
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 2621.
An ordinance rezoning tax lot 293 located in the northwest quarter of Section 13, Township 18 North, 11, 6 p.m. Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, from RMH multifamily residential high density to OPD Office Park District, repealing all ordinance parts and ordinance conflicts herewith, and providing this motion in full force and effect, and ordering this ordinance published in pamphlet form.
I move the statutory rule regarding reading on 3 different days be suspended for consideration of said ordinance.
Second.
Question.
The question before the council is, shall the statutory rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye. An ordinance rezoning tax lot 293 located in the northwest corner of Section 13, Township 18 North, Range 11 east of the 6 p.m. City of Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, from RMH multifamily residential high density district to OPD Office Park District, repealing all ordinance and parts of ordinance conflict herewith, providing this motion be full force and effect, and ordering this ordinance be published in pamphlet form.
I move final passage of ordinance number 2621.
Second.
Question.
The question now before the council is, shall ordinance number 2621 be passed and adopted? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes, and I declare ordinance number 2621 duly adopted. Item number 9, I'll open a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit application submitted by Jenny Erickson, 13429 Spring Ridge Loop, Blair, agent for a contractor yard on Lot 2, YMCA Wilson's Addition, City of Blair, and tax lot 292, located in the northwest quarter of Section 13, Township 18 North, Range 11, east of the 6 p.m., all in Washington County, Nebraska, for 30 years. Mr. Byerman.
Thank you again. For the last item I have for you tonight is a conditional use permit application by Jen Erickson, Erickson Construction. She's looking to add a contractor yard onto 2 different lots along South 10th Street. Both of it recently, one has just recently been rezoned from residential to office park. And then the other one has been an existing office park for a while. As we know, it's along South 10th Street. Future land use designates commercial. This changes to allow contract yard for a duration of 30 years. Planning Commission recommended approval 7-0. The two lots we have are, again, the 292, which has just recently changed, and the lot to the south. Contiguous partial agreement will have to be entered into to allow them to build across the property lines with the two lots, unless at a future date she does, or Erickson Construction decides to do a replat of those two lots into one. As you can see right there, Office Park is now the designated area for tax lot 292, and then lot 2. We'll try to skip to a picture right here of preliminary plans, which may be subject to change, but this will house Erickson Construction and Dix Electric. We do already have a fence that they plan on putting in. The requirement is 6 foot fence, privacy fence, or shrubbery or any sort of greenery to separate this property from residential district, which is currently adjoining to the west. Again, they plan to put up a fence anyway. This shows the different areas here. The office will be out in front with their parking, entrance drive. I believe Ms. Erickson said they will be doing landscaping and such as we talked about earlier with the requirements for Office Park. Would remind council this is also the time to add any stipulations. If they want to see two-tone buildings, office fronts, whatever kind of landscaping, this would be the time to add that to the conditional use permit. And again, shows the different buildings. They all have different yards for equipment storage, all behind the fence. And as we transition to what the lot looks like at this time on South 10th Street, these are the two lots here. This is that little square up there of tax lot 293. With that, are there any questions for staff on this conditional use permit application?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? Having none, I'll close the public hearing. How would council like to proceed? Oh, sorry, I didn't see. Oh, come on up. I'm sorry. I will not close the public hearing.
I don't know if that's necessary. I figured I'd come up and tell you what we're doing. So, Jenny Erickson. Do you want my address again?
Yes.
13429 Spring Ridge Loop. So as Jeff showed, and thank you, Jeff, you're very helpful in getting all of this to this point. We are looking at putting a larger office building on one portion of that, then a couple metal buildings beside it, kind of like a three-sided lean-to on the back that we would store some materials in, and then all of our equipment and anything kind of our lay-down yard would be behind those metal buildings in between the fence. So our entire property behind our office building would be fenced. We do that just for our own security. In the front of the office would be open with the parking lot. We would have a lot of nice landscaping. I don't know, there's engineers coming up with something right now to make that look nice. And then we would like to make sure we can build the building on the two lots. I don't know what the term was you used, but there's one for that. Because we would want to build across that lot line to put a larger building out front. So, any questions on it?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Okay, now I will close public hearing. How would council like to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit application submitted by Jenny Erickson, agent for a contractor yard for 30 years with the stipulations that a privacy fence is installed all the way around the yard, concrete driveway to the gate, and landscaping in front of the office.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the conditional use permit. Please register your vote.
has all council members present voting aye.
Motion passes. Item number 10, open a public hearing to consider a final plat application submitted by AB Tenant LLC, 1701 County Road 6, Utan, Andrew Trupin agent, for the SJAV subdivision, a plat of lots 1 through 10 and outlots 1 and 2 located in tax lot 267, being all of tax lot 248 and part of tax lot 249 and part of the northwest quarter of section 13, township 18 north, range 11, east of the 6 p.m., Washington County, Nebraska, otherwise known as 13th and Wilbur Streets. Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mayor. And Jenny, it's a contiguous parcel agreement. So just one of those amazing forms that you get to fill out. So you can take care of that, and we'll be glad to help you build over that property line with a contiguous parcel agreement. Mayor, before we get started on this particular item, I would just personally like to thank the audience that's here tonight for being extremely courteous and well-behaved. You've sat through a lot of different things. We tried to limit the agenda for tonight to just the essential things that we had to take care of that came from the Planning Commission, and now we're dealing exclusively with this riser property for the rest of the evening. Plus, you're here as we're cursed with some technology issues tonight. It's all because of our wireless projector. So Aaron's trying to work on that. We don't have a simple way to power it off on the ceiling and power it back up. So we need to blame somebody. I may blame Don. I don't know. I'm just looking for things to blame somebody on. But anyway, the next items 10 through 14, all deal with the same exact issue, but in different pieces. So as we get started here, I guess I really want to make it clear for all of you and make it clear for those who are here in attendance tonight that these have all been sequenced in a way that kind of steps on top of each other, or they build kind of like moving up a ladder. And you're going to first deal with the land and the organization of the actual property itself, and then eventually go through a rezoning and then a conditional use permit, and then ultimately we'll get to the big issue, which is this particular development and especially the use of TIF on that and that redevelopment plan. It's at that redevelopment stage that again will have a required by state statute public hearing, and that will be the great opportunity then for everyone to really speak on that. I would encourage, as a staff member, the council to carefully consider all of these earlier stages because they do kind of build on each other. And not presupposing how you're going to ultimately decide the final main issue, but if you say no to one of the earlier items, and if ultimately the council says no, there's really no point in going on because they all do build on each other and they're important. I also, though, would stress that even though they build on each other to get to the end that's being requested here by the developer, that's not the only potential use for this land. So when it comes to subdividing the land, those lots can be used for any permitted purpose that's allowed by our zoning regulations. It may be configured in a certain way that's convenient for them, but it's not very difficult for a future developer, maybe even potentially a future different landowner, to own that and simply come back to the Planning Commission and the council and to plat those particular lots. Or, as is being done, we mentioned earlier, this contiguous parcel agreement, you could literally buy lots 2 through 6 and outlot number 1, and then do a contiguous parcel agreement for all of them and treat it like one large lot. So it doesn't really impede future development unless you say no. And so if you say no to that, then as a council, then there may not be a reason to go on from that. So Aaron, are we able with the PowerPoint? So the first item is the subdividing of the land, because right now that lot is one large tax lot. And of course their request is to break it up into individual lots that one lot would be for the city, for the new pump station and our enhanced water system. The other lots 2 through 6, and again outlot 1 would be Riser's apartment complex, and then the outlots would be there. The zoning right now is RM. That will be changed on the next item that's coming up, but we need to get to the point where the lots are different. And yeah, this thing is not. So Aaron, why don't you go on to the next slide? Okay, here we go. So the future land use map was changed previously to commercial. And if you recall, at that point in time, we had a little bit of discussion about some of these residential properties over here. The city at that time had recommended they just be changed. They came and requested that you not do that at this point in time. And so that's what the council decided to do. But you did change the future land use on tax lot 267. It currently is RM. And like I said, will be rezoned on the next item. And again, I'm having a hard time seeing. So Aaron, if I'm going too fast and jumping over some things, move me back to where the plot is, or the final plat. All right, thank you. So again, it's one large tax lot right now, but broken up into a lot 1 that the city would end up using for the pump stations, lot 2 through 6, which would be the first 5 buildings, and outlot number 1, which ends up being their parking area. And then you end up with outlot 2, which is for stormwater management. Not the creek area itself, that's in the middle here per se, but this would be part of their detention area and storing some of that water before it enters into the creek basin. And then you also end up with the commercial lots here. Another thing that's important to notice is that this final plat actually lays out the locations where the land is being dedicated to the public use for streets. Now, eventually you'll get to the redevelopment plan, and the way it's phased right now, only Maple Drive would be constructed if it's approved and they go forward with phase 1. 12th Street would not be constructed at this point in time based on the way the redevelopment plan reads today. That would be done in phase 2 when the commercial lots would be developed. Now, personally, as a city staff member and planner, I don't particularly like that, but I understand that's what you end up getting when you phase a project like this in small little pieces. It would be more economical to be able to build 12th Street at the same time you're putting in Maple Drive. But unfortunately, the developer was kind of limited on being able to do the big picture, and so just taking the first one, it would be just Maple Drive. But this lays out where those streets would go, and so it's another reason why it's very important that this get approved. Because if it's not approved, you still have a tax lot. There's no development that could take place other than something being built on just the one large tax lots with no streets on the inside. So again, if this is approved, this is just the platting of it. This is not the design for how the water system, sewer system, all that kind of stuff goes in. That would be handled at a future time. There were some questions that some of the audience had. Yes, the agreement that we have with the landowner is that in place of purchasing lot 1, we would do the paving and the water underneath Maple Drive. Doesn't require sewer in this location. Sewer will come down 12th Street, and then they can tie into it and flow into the system. The city would end up paying for that in lieu of the purchasing of lot 1, but then all of 12th Street and the rest of the infrastructure, water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, would be done through assessment districts and then assessed back to the individual lots that are being benefited by that, not paid for by the city. The work is done by the city, the bonding is done by the city, but this is a very standard way that we do these assessment districts, and we'll assess it back to the land, and they will pay for that over the 15, 20 years of the assessments, depending upon what the council would approve sometime in the future. But this particular item is just the platting only. Any questions for me?
It was brought to my attention by constituents, the Maple Street chunk is in lieu of lot 1 for the pump station.
Correct.
They said that it's $2 million for paving that. That's the whole pump project and everything, correct? Price tag?
Again, I know there's been dollar amounts floated around by people. I have no idea where they got their numbers from. Number one, we're not going to know exactly what the costs are going to be until we go out for bid for all of this. Going out for bid, it's going to be more expensive to do just this small piece when they wouldn't be grading and paving all of the rest of 12th Street at the same time. But it's just going to be for concrete on Maple Drive, and then there's a water main that it goes in there, but we have to put the water main in anyway because of the use of the pump station. And that was part of the arrangement. Now, at least from my perspective, as a staff member, we're partly here to help development occur. That's just one of those negotiating, tools that you can come up with and say, well, we really do need a pump station here. We need to have access to it. We need to have a water main. How about we just put that piece in? You don't have to worry about it. We're doing the same thing with Bear Creek. We would do the same thing in other areas where the city needs to put in part of the infrastructure. That's just an added incentive benefit for that developer to not have to worry about it then. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you.
But ultimately, we won't know the full dollar amount until it goes out for bid, and then we see ultimately what that is.
Any other questions for Mr. Green?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public?
My name is Dr. Don Johnson. That's Johnsson. My address is 6097 North Ridge Road, Fort Calhoun. I'm the interim superintendent of Blair Community Schools. Mayor and City Council, I appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening on behalf of the Blair Community School Board of Education. Before addressing the TIF issue, I would like to clarify, and Andrew actually said something earlier about this, a flyer that has been circulating throughout the community includes the Blair Community Schools logo, photograph of our stadium. The flyer was not created, endorsed, approved by the Blair Community Schools, and we want to ensure the public understands it does not represent the position of the official communication of our district. And that's a kind of a copy of that flyer. With that clarification made, I'm here tonight to respectfully express our continued opposition for the use of tax increment financing for the proposed apartment development. Our opposition is not directed at growth and development. We welcome responsible growth, recognize the importance of expanding housing opportunities within our community. Our concern is specifically with the use of TIF financing for the project and the impact it has on public resources. Second, first, TIF delays new tax revenue that would immediately support our schools, public safety services, infrastructure, and other community needs. As our community grows, those services are expected to grow as well. Second, when improvements increase the value of property, we believe all property owners should contribute their fair share of taxes to support the community service that make Blair a desirable place to live. Under TIF, those increased tax revenues are redirected for many years rather than benefiting the public entities that serve the residents. Third, TIF does not provide property tax relief to residents who are experiencing tax burdens today. Instead, it postpones those distribution of new tax revenue that could help support local government and educational services. And then fourth, the schools are expected to serve new families and students immediately. However, during the TIF period, school districts do not receive the full benefit of the increased property valuation associated with that growth. This creates additional financial challenges at a time when educational funding is becoming more difficult. Finally, strong schools are one of the primary reasons families choose where to live. Investing in education is an investing in the future growth and vitality of our community. Redirecting new tax revenues away from the schools for an extended period of time can undermine one of Blair's greatest strengths. We respectfully ask the City Council to consider both the immediate and long-term impacts this proposal may have on our schools, taxpayers, and community services. After weighing those options, we respectfully urge you, the council, to deny the request for tax increment financing assistance for this project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? You'll be next.
Sean Cooper, COOPER, 2300 College Drive. First off, I want to say, Dr. Johnson, you took just about every one of my talking points. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyway, one of the things that everybody really hasn't touched on that I kind of thought was a big deal was the whole, this is due to a housing crisis. And I get there is a housing crisis. But the population in Blair over the last 55 years has grown approximately 1,800 people, okay? We're roughly 8,000 people now. We have 4 apartment complexes right now, as of my drive around town on Sunday. Every single one of these 4 has 4 lease signs, 4 rent signs out there. That doesn't include the apartment complex that is being remodeled right now over by Baronage. So between all of those, I'm not sure what the number is, but Blair Crossing itself is 38 units. So I'm sure there's a lot of apartments already here that people can go to. Another thing, housing wise, I know of 3 housing developments right off the top of my head. Since I moved back to town 4 years ago, the housing development over by where I live, not except for the ones directly on 24th Avenue, not a single house has been built over there. Realtor.com, I checked it today. There's 36 houses right now, single family houses, all for sale in Blair, priced anywhere between $120,000 and $1.2 million. I think we have a lot of housing that people could move into. So besides the TIF thing, I really question the validity of the housing need. Not to mention the price of the apartments out at Blair Crossing. I mean, a studio 1-bath apartment is $1,178. It's 525 square feet. I just don't understand why we need to bring in more high-priced apartments. Why don't we wait, see what happens with Blair Crossing, the apartments that are being remodeled, and just take a breath and see what happens. That way we can reevaluate. Another thing, I haven't heard anybody talk about the $300,000 investment incentive that gets given to the contractor. I read about that in the paper. It was the first time I'd ever heard about it. If they're getting $50 million from private investments, why not just have those investors kick in another 4.4 million, do the entire project? That way all the taxes go to the fire department, go to the police department, go to the school board right from the get-go. And we don't have to wait 15, 20, 25 years to get it. I just think everything just needs to slow down a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public?
Scott Reef, RIEF, 3481 West Shimmer Drive, Grand Island, Nebraska. I'll go over a couple things just kind of on our slide first, so that way we have a understanding of the final plat, because that's what we're voting on right now. If you want, you can go to the second slide. Someone took the clicker, so. All right, so this is the first phase. So even though we are doing the final plat, this is where those 5 buildings will go. So that is the first phase that Phil talked about. This is the commercial area. This lot will be determined later on demand once we figure out how everything goes. And this is lot 1, which will be the city pump. Let's go ahead and go to slide. Okay. One thing I wanted to go over this rendering, especially with the final plat again, just really showing the distance between, because there was a concern of public safety. And so we do have very good walkability. We will actually have a crosswalk right here that will be elevated. That will even slow down traffic on 12th Street. One thing I just wanted to bring up as the council may consider, yes, Maple Street is going in with phase 1, but we expect 12th Street to go in right behind that. One reason why, he talked about the water is going to be underneath Maple Street. But ultimately, our sewer line is going to be underneath 12th Street. So we have to put that in to make this work. So I just didn't want you guys to think, oh, so you're only going to put in Maple, you're not going to put in 12th. we're putting in 12th Street through an assessment district, just like they talked about. So I just wanted to bring that up. Let's go to the next slide. Here again, I wanted to show you a rendering what it looks like. One thing I do want to bring up is a site like this where we have 5 buildings. We have about 5. So a site like this with 5 buildings, there is about 7 kids that we're projecting that are school age that are going to be in here. So it's not going to be a big hindrance right away on the school. I don't know if you remember in the CDA, I know that was a different meeting, but I showed you that site with those 4 with the 4 buildings. We had 3 units with kids in there. One reason that is we're building 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. What that really means to a community is this is the growth aspect, whereas when individuals like young professionals, they first move to the community, they're not going to buy a single family home, but they also don't want an apartment from the 1980s or 1990s. They want a nice place to live, and they're working in your community and they want that nice place to live. What's great about being involved with the apartments is what I see is they move to the community and they live in these apartments, and eventually they find that significant other. And when they find that significant other, they may have their first child in an apartment because they move up to a 2-bedroom. But ultimately, once that kids get to a certain age, they're moving to a single family. So this is a recruitment tool for your community to have a nice place to recruit those young professionals, keep those teachers that are coming to your schools, that they can live here, find that significant other, and start creating their roots in your community. That's really what we see. Let's go to the next slide. Another thing that I just really want to point out is, let's go to the next slide actually, is when we're looking at these buildings, these don't come overnight. What I mean by that, I'm hearing concerns of like, hey, let's just hit a pause button. Let's figure out what's going on. These take time. Like, think how long even the process of going through city council is. It's been like 4 months almost, like we've been doing this, and we're not even done. On top of that, we have planning. It'll be about 2 years from now. That'll give plenty of time to stabilize Blair Crossing. Like, we're not going to have tenants right away. It's not like there's just like that. We have apartments. It takes time for this stuff to happen. The other thing I'm hearing is, okay, well, we're going to have all these apartments. They're going to be at this price or that price, or we don't know. Here's what happens when you create competition. What happens with competition is when you do have more product than you potentially need, guess what happens to those current landlord owners that have properties? When you start bringing in new properties, they start upgrading their properties. They start putting money into their properties. What does that do for the school? Guess what? That increases the value of existing properties in your community, which raises taxes and produces more income for you. The other big thing is competition creates lowering of prices. If we're concerned about the cost of these, I'll be honest, if Blair Crossing or ourselves, if we're not renting, what are we going to do? We're going to lower our prices. That's what's going to happen. Competition is good. The decisions we make today are not about today. The decisions we make today are about the future. This is about 2 years from now. This is about making sure we're continuing to keep those teachers, continuing to keep those professionals that move to this town, that find that significant other, that their first family member is their pet, but eventually they do have kids and they move to your single families. Let's go to the next slide. This again, just because we presented it before, this is what we have in in Grand Island. Like this unit, I didn't know this side was up here. There's 3 families that are in that. So there's not a ton of kids again. So let's go to the next slide. Here again, on the final plat, we are talking about the commercial. So just like before, I talked about when we're looking at this commercial area, we're looking at that northern parking area because we're thinking about the YMCA. We heard that there needs to be more parking, especially on weekends and events. So we're looking at adding more parking on that north side. Some of the businesses that we're currently talking to is a daycare provider. So we have that up there. We're also talking to a senior center. These are not exactly where they're going to be as I joked before, I put a coffee shop, ice cream shop, because who doesn't like ice cream and coffee? But I wanted you to see that as well. Other things that I talked about before, we're always trying to protect the pedestrian. We have a lot of concerns of safety. This is why we're going to bring those commercial buildings more towards the highway 75. And that's going to help protect those pedestrians when they do park and walk up their kids to that child care center. Otherwise, that even that senior center area, that way it's protected. Let's go to the next slide. In the end, this is for final plat approval. One thing I do want to point out, I'm asking you for the approval of this. We are meeting all the requirements for the city of Blair. So we're excited to move forward with this project. It's not happening tomorrow. It's probably going to be a couple years before everything is done through the planning and through the development. And again, competition is good. It elevates a community. It does generate more tax revenue right away as well. Thank you. I'm here for any questions.
Yes, Mr. Reeve, just a minor point, but just to clarify, when you said a raised crosswalk, you didn't mean like a up and over.
No.
Can you explain exactly what you mean by a raised?
Yeah. Raised crosswalk is just almost like a speed bump. So we're just elevating that cement in that area to slow down traffic. The bad thing is whenever you have a straight road, people think it's a racetrack.
Yeah.
And so we have to slow those roads down. Typically we like to do a curve, do other things. So you can't see from point A to B. If you can't do that on a site, which it didn't make sense on this site, we do raised crosswalks.
I just want to make sure there wasn't any misunderstanding with the public about what to expect if that were to be passed. And then secondly, if I remember correctly, in your prior application, the plan for phase one was completion in 2027. That's not a couple of years from now, it's next year.
Yes. So ultimately, we were hoping to turn dirt already. I'll be honest with you. Our goal was this was an early summer. So, I mean, I don't know when we're going to turn dirt at this time. I'll say once we do turn dirt, it's anywhere from that 12 months beyond. So it's already been delayed. I mean, the time is clicking. I hate to say it, but it's already getting delayed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Any comments from the public?
Edward Matthews, MATTHEWS, 739 North 16th Street. Again, all of this talking that we're talking about right now is all the flowery part. The bottom line is it's about this development. And we're not ready for it yet. The TIF money, we have so many more questions to do on it. How long has the contractor known about this project? A long time. How long has the people known about this project? Not very long. As soon as they heard about it, they came in and said something about it. It's like trying to stop a freight train with a newspaper when you get something like this going. People want to be participants in this activity. Development should be by the people. Taxes should be by the people. We have that opportunity. We're not allowing that to happen right now because for some reason they think that you have to go out and sell this land and give them incentive to come here. Well, this place is already a nice place. We don't have to jump and put all kinds of apartments in. We don't even tell the people what's going on. How long was it before we knew what was going on at the roundabout? We're just hearing this now. How many other projects? We have a private corporation that goes out with the city to sell these things. Why don't we get more information put out? It's not happening. So again, please slow down. It doesn't hurt to be slower. These people are good. They do what they do. But we need to know that we're doing what we need to do without being obligated today, because that's what's going to happen. Because we're going to be obligated to this $6 million or whatever this is, $4 million. We're being obligated today. It doesn't matter if it's 2 years or 5 years from now. It's still there. There's other obligations that are going to be coming up that people are going to see. They're going to want to know about those too. So slow down. Look at the TIF. If you look at the Urban Affairs PR 155, That gives all the financial incentives throughout the state on how to get money for development in small communities. TIF says when you blight something, it has to actually be blighted. It can't just be an undeveloped farm field, but because we want it, we're calling it blighted. So we have to go through, understand the TIF, understand the definitions, understand the taxing. So please vote to slow down. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just want to say something real quick. I respect what you have to say, Mr. Matthews. However, this has been out for a little while and people have had the opportunity to come and speak. So, which is great, what we're doing tonight. It didn't just get dropped on the city. Just want to clarify that a little bit, but thank you.
Other comments from the public?
Berta Bovee, Bouvia, 15398 County Road 18, Blair, Nebraska. Thank you for your time. I know it's a thankless job to be a civil servant because I'm currently doing it again. All we hear about is it's worked so well in Grand Island and other places. We're Blair, we're not Grand Island. I don't want to be a Grand Island. I don't think anybody around here wants to be a Grand Island either. Being from the construction world, I haven't heard anything about budget numbers of what this infrastructure is going to cost the city. What's the infrastructure bill for out at the Blair Crossing Apartments? What's it going to be at the new SID out by West Cargill campus? All we hear about all the money that it's going to bring into Blair, but we're not hearing about any of the money it's going to cost us for the infrastructure around it. You know, when you guys pushed, everybody wanted the 4-lane, they kept telling the school district, we build it, they will come. They did not come. The industry that we have now are not high paying. Dollar General is not in general high paying jobs. Even the Cargill campus. A lot of those folks are only making $60,000 to $70,000 a year. You cannot raise a family and pay $1,500 to $2,500 for either rent payment or house payment. It's just not possible. And then you add daycare on top of that. These kids that are building over there in that Northern View Heights, over there by the Y, having their first homes maybe, when they bought that, they didn't think that they were going to have to look at apartment complex. And what's the value of those homes going to do? Normally, when you bring in an apartment complex, that lowers the value of a home. Lastly, I just want you guys to think about what would you do if they were doing this in your backyard? The house that you've lived there for 5 years or 30 years. Would you like it to be done? Think about that first, because this only affects one person on this council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam Clough, 1280 South Highway 75, Blair, Nebraska.
Will you spell your last name, please?
Yes, CLOUGH.
Thank you.
Yep. And timing was everything on that one. I am a father of 5. She is exactly right. You can't raise a family on $75,000 a year. That's factual information. So gonna call that out. The thing that I think is important to be mindful of on this is the ripple effect that it'll have on other city resources, right? Okay, so we bring in this building complex. There are important things to be mindful of on how that's going to affect the strain on the police force, how it's going to affect, like the gentleman that mentioned, the schools. I think it hits the schools hardest. I think there's lots of folks here that can speak to that, and I think they should. But yeah, I think these are valid things to consider, and it doesn't hurt to slow down. So I think that's a valid thing, especially with Blair Crossing going in. I'm curious as a citizen to see how that goes, to see where the actual factual numbers lie, right? I don't want to base my forward-looking decision on a hope, right? I was hopeful LSU would win the College World Series. That's a hope, and it didn't happen. I would rather have factual information that I can base that decision on so that we can move forward with confidence. So that's all I got. Thank you. And thank you, gentlemen, for being prepared for this meeting.
Other comments from the public?
Good evening, Mike Rooks, Gateway Development. Good evening, Mike Rooks, Gateway Development. Sorry, I have no voice. 162 North Linden Avenue, Council Bluffs, Iowa, 51503. Want to touch base on a couple of things that we talked about today. Less than 2 years ago, City Council, the city put together the Housing Advisory Committee. One of the big things they're looking at is where we should be building new single-family homes, multifamily homes, and mixed use. This area was one of those that was picked as number one for this area. And since then, we've had one development go in, and that was Blair Crossing. And as Riser has said, they're not directly competing with him. Blair Crossing is going to be up and functional by the end of this year. These guys are probably 12 to 18 months out, depending on when they break ground. So by then, everything will be level set. We do also have several larger projects that are coming into town. If we do not have the proper housing, we lose those. We need to have the housing for the people to get here, because the big thing they always ask for is, where's my staff going to live? And if we keep saying Missouri Valley, Omaha, they're going to see how far it is and like, why should they be driving 20, 30 minutes away? And yes, there are, I think he said 35 homes on the market right now. That's great, but not everyone can afford that down payment for that house. And everyone has a different life cycle they're in. I'm a single dad. I need a different thing than a family of 5. So not all those houses are going to work for everyone. So you have to look at those things. Home values also go up when you have more people in the town, because they're all looking for new homes to live in. Sales tax goes up. And as Scott has said this before, we did business intelligence looking at salaries from $50,000 to $80,000. With 110 apartments, your average is going to be $153,000 in sales tax a year. You take that times 10, you're over what that TIF, which is 2.2 million, give or take, for that first phase. So you allow the TIF, you allow this to go through, you're making all that money back just in sales tax. And you're adding in more of the workforce and the housing we need. So with that, I'd just like to say Gateway Development supports this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public?
Hi, my name is Sue Harson, 9531 County Road 37, Blair, Nebraska. I just have a few things I'd like to say again tonight. First of all, as I understand it, this is all as I understand it. These aren't facts. This is just what I understand. The housing study that we repeatedly talk about is actually quite archaic at this point. What I understand is at some point when Dollar General came, they said that they were going to be working round the clock 24 hours. They now work one shift. So when we have 3 shifts, we need a lot more housing. That's correct. But if we have 1 shift, I don't know that we need that much more housing. Second of all, the Planning Commission, I think this needs to be noted, I didn't hear it stated tonight. The Planning Commission did not pass this development. They are to make recommendations to the City Council, as I understand it, and we are to listen to what the Planning Commission says to the City Council. Thirdly, we want families to come to Blair because we're an amazing small town and we have a great school system. We like it when families move here because of our school system and because of the size of our town. Lastly, I'd like to say that I do want to grow. I think we all want to grow, but we want to grow better, not necessarily bigger. And I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you guys listening to what we have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments from the public?
Bridget Ashoff, ASCHOFF, 1067 Westridge Drive. And I had a couple of, I went to the Planning Commission meeting and have been thinking about a lot of that in the past couple of weeks. And one of the things that we're hearing is we've got all this growth, and so we need the housing for all this growth. But then we're talking about the growth, and we hear there's only going to be so many kids at the apartments, but yet we're growing. And the best way to grow a town is with families, right? Because we know that they come here for good schools. And so if the purpose of building more apartments is for these young professionals to move here and start their families, that's not how Blair works. And I know that because that's how we got here. We lived in Omaha and we moved here. My husband is works for the district. And so what you do as a young professional is you watch the market, and when something comes up that's available, it's in your price range, then you go and you look. You're not moving into an apartment and starting your family that way. That's just not how it works here in Blair. The other thing that I think is so important, and what has made me think a lot, is if we do want to attract young professionals, then we have to have ways to support them and things for them to do when they come to town. Because what are they doing after they get off of work? What types of things does Blair have to support them? I have a niece who is young, and she is engaged, and she's from Arlington, and her fiance want to get back to a small town. They're not looking at Blair. They're looking at Ashland. Why? Have you seen their downtown? It is awesome. It is so fun to go and visit. And when we're looking at building Blair, I think that's where we need to look and where we need to be focusing on is what can we do to develop and grow within the town that then will support that growth, right? Where it's better, not necessarily just bigger right away. So I did a little bit of looking to what Ashland did, and they got a Creative District Development Grant sponsored by the Nebraska Arts Council. And I am just curious, is that anything that Blair has looked at?
We received some grants through the Nebraska Creative Arts District. That's
Okay.
the Pocket Park.
Okay.
Some of our grants came through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know how all of that works, but I would be curious to see if that is something that we can capitalize on or mimic, something similar to what Ashland has done. I think that our downtown has a little bit more things to work through with how busy it can be down there versus what theirs does. But I would like to see some sort of support come to the town in that way and grow in that regard, improve our pools, have more activities for young like teens or young adults to be able to do. So as we look at the growth piece, those are some things that I would like the council to consider as well. I do agree. It seems like with the Blair Crossing that has come through, we've got the project downtown, we've got Lutheran Family Services. So I would just like to kind of slow things down a little bit, see how the Blair Crossing goes, see what happens with Lutheran Family Services up at the Dana campus before we move forward with bringing something else in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments from the public?
I'm Jane Heinrich, spelled Heinrich. I live at 1019 Stone Creek Drive. I have 2 points. They're very short, and they've been talked about, but they keep coming up over and over. First point, it seems like we have lack of evidence that we actually really need more apartments at this time. If I could actually see that evidence, I would be more willing to be open to it. I don't see it. I think we're putting the cart before the horse. And I think we need to take a look at that. Secondly, because of that, I think this may not be fiscally responsible as a city. And I think we need to think about that too. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Audrey Lutz, Lutz, 1011 Stonewood Avenue, Grand Island, Nebraska. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Riser, and I've worked there for about 3.5 years. Before I came to work for Riser, I was in nonprofit, human services nonprofit for 10 years. And the only person, probably the only person in the planet who could get me to leave nonprofit work is Scott Reef. Scott Reef is a really cool guy and a really cool boss. And I didn't think that another developer existed for a partnership like this, Prairie Sky Apartments, until meeting Craig. And so I'm so glad these guys got together because they have big dreams and big ideas for this community. I also want to thank all the people who have come to speak here tonight. It really shows that Blair cares about its community. It cares about what's happening. And I appreciate all those things. As Chief Operating Officer of Riser, I oversee property management, maintenance, and cleaning. And what I can say safely across our apartment complex is that no more than 14% of our complexes have school-age children. 14% is about 8 to 20 school-age students. So that's the most you could expect out of this development. In fact, most of our tenants have more pets than they have kids. So that rate is about 50 to 60% when looking at the pets across our apartment complexes. So 14% with kids, 50 to 60% with dogs. And that's why we're invested in the dog park. I also want to mention that there has been talk about crime or police involvement, and we like to say that safety is our best amenity at Riser apartment complexes. As a woman, I would be very safe living in our apartment complexes with our smart lock entry and the amount of security cameras we have. So all of that being said, I just thank everybody for their words tonight and for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public?
George Hall, Hall, 1234 Corey Drive, Blair, Nebraska. I just have a couple questions for the gentleman over here that said if you bring more people to town, the valuations of your home will go up. Okay, I just got my new valuation. Anybody here that owns a house, did your valuations go down? Not one person. Mine went way up. I don't need another apartment complex to raise the valuation of my home. The county does a great job doing it themselves. Taxes are not going to go down if you leave the levy exactly as it is. My taxes are going to go up again. Correct? Yeah. So just because you bring more apartments, more homes, more everything, doesn't mean your valuations are ever going to go down. Your valuation is going to go up, and who pays the taxes? Well, if they have TIF financing, it will not be them. It'll be us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public?
Paul Buckingham, Buckingham, 1217 Fairview Drive, Blair. Been wondering which point I want to make since I have a limited time. One of the points I want to make is what Gateway Development has pointed out several times. They keep talking about businesses won't come here if we don't have housing. We have housing. Depends on the type of business you want. As was mentioned here earlier, you don't have companies offering larger dollars for their employees trying to come here. I don't think that's the type of business we want to look at anyway. The last time we were here, he mentioned a company that didn't come here and went to Boone, Iowa instead because they had more housing. That's not the only reason they went to Boone. Our average housing price is $221,000. Theirs was $173,000. Their average rent was $100 less than our average rent. our median income per household is 81,000. Theirs was 69. Those are big reasons for a company not to come or to go to that town versus this, then get a cheaper workforce, cheaper housing. To try to say this is going to be several years down the line, so we should approve it now. Yeah, I understand it's going to take a while. I'm in construction as well. It's not easy. Once you get this part done, then you got the planning phase. You have to get your building permits. You have to do all that, which I'm sure they already have ready. But what everybody's asking here, I understand why the new apartments are discounting it at this point, because they are. They're giving you discounts to try to move in there already. If they were that popular, they wouldn't be giving discounts, no matter what. They say they're doing it because the pool's not ready and the dog park. Well, okay, that's fine, but is that the real reason? Or are they just not getting the people that they thought they were going to get in the first place? So, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments from the public?
Phil.
Oops, sorry. Yep.
Ethan Law, 2335 Hickory Circle, Blair, Nebraska. That's LAU. I just wanted to bring up one point that I was a little confused at. Earlier, it was said by Mr. Andrew Tupin when asked by Mr. Banner. He responded verbatim, "The current landowner does not really have, I don't want to speak for him too much, but from my conversation with him, the current landowner does not have much intent besides this project." It's a little surprising to me that on this and on the application for the tax increment financing application, that the addresses for both of these companies are not listed. AV Tenant LLC, 1701 County Drive Road, or County Road 6, Utah, Nebraska 68073, is the same address as SJAV Tenant. I assume AV Tenant is a holding company, and I just wasn't made aware of that. And I just would like to bring that to attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Craig Amon. Last name is spelled A-M-A-N. I live at 610 South Fork Road here in Blair, Nebraska. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and would like to take a few minutes to provide some background on the project we are discussing and share why I feel this development is the right step forward for Blair. Over the past 15 years, our company, AV Legacy Holding, has invested in real estate across communities in eastern Nebraska. This portfolio includes multifamily developments right here in Blair. It's been especially meaningful to us to live in one of the same communities where we invest, providing quality housing for our residents, creating jobs for our associates, and supporting local vendors through service opportunities at our current properties. Approximately 5 years ago, we purchased the 12 acres of land south of the Blair Family YMCA that we're discussing tonight, and we had a long-term vision in mind. We believed that if the housing demand continued to grow in Blair, this property would serve as an ideal location for additional multifamily development. Based upon multiple factors, including the high occupancy rates that we see at our existing family or multifamily properties here in Blair, which are between 98 and 100%, and they've been that way for 15 years. The findings of the most recent housing study, the recommendations of the recently concluded Housing Task Force, and the feedback that we continue to receive from Blair businesses and residents has led us to conclude that the demand is real, it is now, and we would like to move forward with developing this property. While we have significant experience in owning and operating multifamily housing, we also recognize that transforming farmland into high-quality residential and commercial development presented a different kind of challenge. Because of that, we made an intentional decision to bring in a partner on this project. Over the past few years, we have carefully vetted multiple developers. Finding the right partner was not just important to us, it was our top priority. In 2025, we were introduced to Scott Reef, the owner of Riser, and we took that time to get to know their work, their processes, and their values. After many discussions, we knew we had found the right fit for both us and this project. I would like to emphasize that we are not selling this property to somebody from out of town and simply walking away. Quite the contrary, Riser and AV Legacy Holdings will be co-owners of this development. Like the multifamily component of this development, the commercial portion is designed to meet both current and future needs in Blair. We have identified a growing demand for services such as childcare and a senior center, and we have actively initiated discussions with these organizations to see how we could provide for their needs. Additionally, our proximity to the Blair Family YMCA presents meaningful opportunities for collaboration, and we have already begun initial conversations with the Y team. I would also like to sincerely thank the individuals and businesses who have publicly expressed their support for this project. We recognize that speaking out is not always easy to do in today's social media environment. We truly appreciate their willingness to step forward as we move forward in a positive direction. Over the past few months, we have provided you with letters of support in your packets. Some of those supporting letters came from companies such as Cargill, KRW Construction, Memorial Community Hospital, Evonik, McInnes Roofing, Gateway Development, and the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. Many of these businesses that I mentioned, as well as others, face ongoing challenges in attracting and retaining employees, and the primary factor in the shortage is a shortage of available housing. Because of this, a significant number of workers are forced to commute. In one of the letters in your packets, you were provided earlier, a local employer shared that 70% of their workforce currently commutes to Blair on a daily basis due to limited housing. Providing additional housing would not only help address workforce challenges, but it would also strengthen our local economy. With employees, or when employees live in Blair, they are more likely to spend their incomes locally, supporting businesses and increasing demand for amenities such as restaurants and other services. Sustained growth and population increase are essential to attracting these types of investments. So in closing, my wife and I have spent nearly our entire lives in Blair, as have generations of our family before us. This is our home. We care deeply about it and its future. If we believed this project would harm Blair in any way whatsoever, we would not pursue it. Rather, we believe this project is a thoughtful and well-planned response to Blair's housing needs, and we will make a meaningful contribution to this community. We are proud to be part of Blair's future and sincerely appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, how many housing, or not housing, but apartment complexes in Blair do you have?
Six. We have 175 units is what I would tell you in our various units.
97%?
98 to 100% occupied for the last 15 years. And one of the reasons, the main reason that we haven't built is because it makes no financial sense to do so without incentive packages such as TIF. And we're not the only ones. Obviously, you've seen one other development, multifamily development in 20 years. These people understand, all developers understand, that if you don't have these incentives, it's not going to happen with multifamily. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Hi, guys. Barb Bloomfield, 1327 Maple Drive, Blair, Nebraska. I don't have anything to say that's smart, but I will say thank you for listening and listen to everyone. Please, 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 we need to get something beside housing. Do you realize that the last time we were presented with a big plan that was going to make Blair something great was when Cargill came. They knocked at our door and they said, if you'll sign this petition, and at that time we had a beautiful home, the taxes were $384 a year. I went and looked at that house not too long ago to buy it back. The taxes are $3,800. And that's since Cargill has come, and we needed that. Well, you know what we need? We need to get out and try to get people to come here to do things that we can eat, we can enjoy. We had a we had a skating rink. We had everything at that time. And then when we started to grow, all our stores closed. We have no place to do anything. Please listen to the public. I know, I appreciate you. You've done great things for the community. But believe me, we need stores. We do not need a place for people to live. And as far as Maple Drive goes, I live there. I bought a really nice lot. And you know what it is now? A car lot, practically. Because there's no place for people to park. The street is never supposed to have a truck on it, because when Scheffler's built that, they made it a little narrow. Guys, don't let them ruin our town any farther, please. I prayed over this and swore I wouldn't talk to you tonight, but I like all of you. And I don't care if you get mad at me, because I'll just smile at you and tell you hi again. Thanks to all of you for all that you've said. But for crying out loud, listen to us. Don't turn your back on us. I prayed about this and swore I wouldn't talk, and guess what? Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you, Barb.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Other comments from the public?
Uni Scheffler, Blair, Nebraska.
We give you the address.
The last time I spoke,
Uni, would you give us your address, please?
1324 Maple Drive.
Thank you.
I was concerned about the traffic this would bring on that highway, and with the bypass, and it's terrible. But also, this seems to be maybe something that the people that live in Blair and the people that don't live in Blair, and against the people that don't live in Blair. And I just hope you guys from Blair will listen.
Thank you. Other comments from the public?
Good evening. Nicole Ferguson, FERGUSON, 11296 Ramble Ridge Drive in Blair. I am just here in support. I mean, as I'm the chamber director and talk to businesses, and everyone, we all want more businesses, and we all want more restaurants and movie theaters and all the things that bring that livability piece to Blair. But without people to serve those restaurants or to come patronize those restaurants and stores and all the things, we're not going to have that kind of development. It's just, you can argue cart before the horse, or, you know, chicken before the egg, whatever, but we do need more housing in this town to support our workforce at all stages of life, from just getting started to retirement age. And, you know, economics 101 is supply and demand. And I can guarantee these developers and these apartment owners and these people that are trying their best to make Blair a better place are doing it with the best of intentions, and they have done the due diligence and they've done the research. They're not going to come in here and build a property and say, well, it might work. And just one final thing. Prior to this, I mean, for many, many years, I was in property management, and I can say that with any new development in any town, these big management companies do have an entire team for lease ups. So having incentives, having concessions, move-in specials during a lease up, during construction is 100% normal across the board, and 98 to 100% occupancies in a town across the board of all levels of rentals is not healthy and not normal. That's it, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? Mr. Green, you've been standing up and sitting down many times tonight. It's your turn.
It's okay. Good exercise. I just a couple things to add. Number one, it is correct, and I apologize for failing to mention earlier that the Planning Commission did vote 6-1 opposed to this item. They didn't explain anything that night on why they voted that way. Again, kind of had the same conversation with them earlier about being careful on the earlier things, that if you say no, it doesn't make sense on some of the later things. As an example, 6-1 against the final plat, but it was 8-0 in favor of the rezone. So technically now you could have commercial lots in commercial use for the whole thing instead of living space on some of that. So it not always consistent on how they vote, but they did vote against this one 6-1. And since we're in the throes of budget time, and wouldn't it be great to have this many people show up for the budget workshop next week? So you're invited back next Tuesday night if you'd like. But just as an example, the city's levy has gone down 18.8% over the last 5 years, largely because, again, valuations go up. And it's exactly right. That mathematical formula, when the values go up, levies have to go down, or there's going to be a substantial tax increase. And you, the council, have avoided that by having that levy drop as it did. But just a reminder to you, as you're done now, this is just the final plat. A lot of conversation was about the whole overall design, but really you're just looking at the layout of the lots, not the use of the lots or anything like that. That will be one of the future agenda items. So thank you.
Thank you. Brenda, we had several items in the packet, letters of support, 5 of them actually. Did we have any others come in writing since then? Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, I will close the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the final plat application submitted by AV Tenant as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the final plat application. Please register your vote.
Council members Banner, Highfield, Letcher, Long, Paulson voting aye. Council members Clark, Wolf, and Willis voting nay.
Motion passes. Item number 11, I'll open the public hearing to consider a rezone application submitted by AV Tenant LLC, 1701 County Road 6, Utan, Nebraska. Andrew Tupin, agent for the SJAV subdivision on tax lot 267, being all of tax lot 248 and part of tax lot 249 and part of the northwest quarter of section 13, township 18 north, range 11 east of the 6 p.m. Washington County, Nebraska, otherwise known as 13th and Wilbur Streets, rezoning tax lots 267 from residential medium density district RM to agricultural highway commercial district ACH. Mr. Green.
And thank you again, Mayor. Again, we're incrementally stepping through all of these little steps. This particular one here for agenda item number 11 deals with now the rezoning of this particular lot. So Aaron, if you could step forward and because don't let me remind you, or don't let me forget about reminding you, and Brenda, you have to pay attention to this too. If you are in favor of moving forward with this, there does need to be an amendment to the ordinance that's presented in front of you, because unfortunately it talks about office park district and not highway commercial. So the zoning district that's listed is wrong. So the current zoning is RM, which is residential medium density. It's not the lowest density, but the second to the lowest density that we would have here in the city of Blair, kind of similar to kind of an R2 in some other jurisdictions. Again, future land use map has already been rezoned to commercial. This request is to rezone all of it now that it has been broken up into individual lots. All of those lots would be rezoned then to Highway commercial, again, was the recommendation, the request. That's what the planning commission dealt with. And you'll notice here, they did vote 8-0 to approve that back on May 5th. So again, future land use map, current land use map is being RL, and this would rezone the entire thing now that it's broken up into individual lots. There, you may have to help me. So again, not just phase 1, this would be for all of it. And so all of the individual lots up through lot 10. And obviously streets technically don't have zoning districts on them, but it would be the whole footprint for what used to be that tax lot would be rezoned to highway commercial. If you are interested in presenting this, and I guess Tal, do you have any problems if whoever wants to introduce it introduces it with the amendment, or would you rather?
Suggest that's how you do it.
Okay.
Introduce ordinance and then
Okay, yeah, so if you'd want to introduce it, then would be replacing the OPD Office Park District to A/CH Highway Commercial. Any questions? Thank you.
Council have any other questions for staff? Do we have any comments from the public?
And Scott, I failed to mention this. This is true for the developers as well as everybody else. Again, if you've had an opportunity to speak, as the mayor had requested earlier, that's kind of your opportunity for the whole thing. But that includes the developers as well. So I would simply say, as you're looking at pictures, try not to rehash things that you've already talked about.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, Scott Reef, RIEF, 3481 West Shimmer Drive. We'll go to my first slide. So we're requesting this parcel to be rezoned to a highway commercial, which meets the city of Blair's future plan land use map. The rezone will help us to work with other potential commercial, like let's say the child care provider, senior or senior center, as well as other opportunities. And that's really one thing I've heard as people have come up here and talk. They want more things in Blair, and the only way you're going to get more things in Blair if you provide opportunities for people to live in Blair. That's what people look for. I know I did compare Grand Island and other locations we built, but ultimately, if I'm doing a development in the past, we use those examples so that we learn from them. One thing we've learned, and I'm going to bring up Grand Island again, we actually built 300 units before we could really add the commercial aspect of it. And that's what's really made the commercial aspect very successful. And when you're rezoning this helps us create those activities to get those fun things, to get those exciting things. I know we only have 3 lots there, but this isn't a place where you want to compete with your downtown either. This is just a place where you can add some fun commercial coming into your community. Next slide. I just want to bring up again, like the separation. And so the 300 feet from the apartments really helps protect those residents. But the other thing I want to bring up that's different.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reif. Can the public please be quiet? Thank you. Go on.
The other thing I want to bring up is the depth of those lots are 250. From our experience with working with commercial developers, 250 is a good depth to accommodate probably 90% of commercial development as well. We'll go to the next slide. I was going to talk about walkability. I already talked about that, so we'll just move on to the next one as well. And this was a commercial which I talked about as well. But other things that I just want to bring up that was brought up is the median income. What we're focusing on with these houses of a median income of that 50 to 60,000. That's who we're going after, is that 50 to 60,000 median income for a tenant. So,
Mr. Reef?
Yes.
I meant to ask this earlier. Lot 9 and 10 down there, what is the plans for that? It's gonna be green space all the time? Can you go back?
It's just a rendering, but yeah, I was curious about that as well.
Last one. No, the last one slide.
So in the commercial, that does not stay a green space. So there's 3 commercial lots there. So our goal is hopefully that we move those lines eventually. We don't know how much commercial we will have, but we don't plan on having a green space right there.
Okay, so eventually 9 and 10 will have something.
Yes. So all 3 of those lots are planned to have commercial there.
Right there.
Yeah. So 9 and 10, that does not represent very well the size of those lots. I would say if you take from the north to south, they're just divided equally between 3 lots there.
Okay.
And we'll be able to move those lots once we know the tenant or potential commercial developer that wants to come in and purchase it. Or if we decide to build something that we want to lease out to somebody in the community.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments from the public? Brenda, do we have any in writing? Thank you. I will close the public hearing. How would council like to proceed?
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 2622.
With the amendment.
With the amendment of going from replacing
OPD.
OPD to ACH. Thank you.
An ordinance amending, an ordinance rezoning the SJAB subdivision on tax lot 267 being all of tax lot 248, part of tax lot 249, and part of the northwest quarter of section 13, township 18, north range 11, east to 6 p.m. City of Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, from R residential medium density to ACH agricultural highway commercial district, repealing all Orange Box Orange conflict herewith, and providing when source will be full force and effect, and ordinance on to be published in pamphlet form.
I move the statutory rule regarding reading on 3 different days be suspended for consideration of said ordinance.
Second.
Question?
The question before the council is, shall the statutory rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended? Please register your vote.
Council members present voting aye, Banner, Clark, Highfill, Letcher, Long, Wolf, and Willis, council member Paulson voting nay. An ordinance rezoning the SJAB subdivision on tax lot 267 being all of tax lot 248, part of tax lot 249, and part of the northwest quarter of section 13, township 18, north range 11, east of 6 p.m. City of Blair, Washington County, Nebraska, from RM residential medium density district to ACH agricultural highway commercial district, repealing all Orange Box Orange conflict herewith, and providing when source to be full force and effect, and ordinance to be published in pamphlet form.
I move final passage of ordinance number 2622. As amended. Yeah, as amended. Thank you. Second.
Question?
The question now before the council is, shall ordinance number 2622 be passed and adopted? Please register your vote.
All council members present voting aye.
Motion passes, and I declare ordinance number 2622 duly adopted. Item number 12, open a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit application submitted by AV Tenant LLC, 1701 County Road 6, Utan, Andrew Tupin agent on SJAV subdivision lots 2 through 6 and outlot 1 in part of the northwest quarter of section 13, township 18 north, range 11 east of the 6 p.m., Washington County, Nebraska, otherwise known as 13th and Wilbur Streets, allowing multi-family dwellings on this parcel for the life of the buildings. Mr. Green.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Aaron, if you want to go ahead and bring up, I assume in the PowerPoint, it's got the lot layout as well for this particular item. So just again, so the audience understands the intricate little steps, I can say it, that are being taken tonight. You've subdivided the land already. You've changed the zoning now for it to highway commercial. And now the issue is the conditional use permit itself. So let's get to this point. One of the things that we felt like staff was very, very important, especially coming out of some of the earlier meetings that we had in the concern. Early on, when we first were looking at this, we were anticipating maybe this conditional use permit being applied to the whole subdivision. And that would give the opportunity for the whole area to have multifamily use if a future developer decided to do that. If you would grant that, that automatically is going to give them the permission to be able to do that. We slowed down. If you remember, this was one of the items that we tabled and then wanted to slide it behind the platting and then ask them only to put the conditional use permit on lots 2 through 6 and outlot 1. And so that's what you have here with this particular outlot. So it's important for the citizens to understand that with any kind of zoning district, you have certain uses that are automatically allowed by right. Anybody could purchase land and do that kind of development on that parcel with no permission whatsoever from the city, other than having to get your typical building permits and all those kinds of things for safe construction. But the use doesn't need to be identified. Or there are certain uses that require a conditional use permit. We call them accepted uses. They're allowed, but only with a conditional use permit. And that's what multifamily is in highway commercial. And so you can't normally automatically by right do multifamily in highway commercial. You have to get a conditional use permit for it. And so it's being limited to just lots 2 through 6 and outlot 1, which again, the outlot, it happens to be the parking area for that. Therefore, requiring any future use that might be on lot 7, that they would have to come back to a future council sometime, and we'd go through this whole process again. And if it happened to be this developer asking for more, they prefer to have each of their buildings on its own separate lot. So you'd actually have 2 agenda items. You'd have a replatting of lot 7 to break it up into smaller pieces, and then another conditional use permit requesting the ability to do multifamily on that lot. But that's not being done today. It's a limited use just to lots 2 through 6 and then outlot 1. And you'll notice that it's kind of identified that way in the motion for this particular item. Doesn't require a resolution, doesn't require an ordinance or anything like that. It's simply a motion and a request. The Planning Commission did deny this 4-3. And again, didn't give an explanation. It was relatively close, 4-3. 2 Planning Commission members were gone that night, but they did vote against it. My assumption is it was because of the use that was going to be going on. But again, even by granting the conditional use permit here for this particular use doesn't guarantee that it would happen, because if they happen to get turned down for an incentive that they feel like is essential, then they may not build on it, at that point in time. And never lose sight of the fact that if you deny this, it's still highway commercial. And it's still been platted. So someone could come in and choose to put any kind of permitted use on any of those lots the way they are right now. And the council really wouldn't have any say over it. So some may look at multifamily housing in commercial as being better than other uses that could show up in commercial that would be allowed just by right. Again, that's ultimately your decision to make. So, but again, it's only in this little outlined area that they're asking for this conditional use permit. Questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from the public? Having none, I will close public hearing. How would council like to proceed?
I'll make a motion for the conditional use permit application submitted by AV tenant, allowing multifamily dwellings in this parcel for the life of the buildings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the conditional use permit application. Please register your vote.
Council members present voting aye, Highfield, Ledger, Wrong, Paulson, Wolf. Council members Banner, Clark, and Willis voting nay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but motion fails. Is this correct, council? Because
Conditional use permits take 6.
takes 6, so this fails. So, do we go on to 13?
Technically, it's a resolution. So yeah, just for the sake of the audience, again, to kind of understand, conditional use permits, because it really does deal with a use that might have issues that would conflict with neighbors and some things like that, has a higher bar than just other normal kinds of uses. I suppose I won't even go there. Yeah, so unfortunately, it calls for 6 votes in the affirmative, and it was 5-3 in favor of this one. So didn't reach the threshold that you would need for the conditional use permit. Therefore, multifamily housing isn't allowed on those lots going forward. So, we do have 2 more items. One was going to be the public hearing for the TIF application. Kind of a moot point right now. Again, conditional use applications, there could be with potential changes to the concept brought back sometime in the future again. So the citizens need to understand, just because you feel like, you're victorious at one time, due diligence is always good for the citizenry to pay attention to what's going on in your local government. If you see another conditional use permit sign going up saying there might be, some kind of action taking place, then be aware of that. But there really is probably no point to go on to those other 2 unless you wanted to take more public testimony. But the TIF application really is mute.
Okay.
Tal, any concerns with that, or am I?
No, I mean, I just like you've been thinking about going ahead and at least having a hearing on the next 2 items.
Okay.
And having a vote on it, even though we do vote or don't do circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, you'd prefer a vote?
Well, entitlements often come after a redevelopment plan anyway, so I would assume, for the public's sake of being heard, and for the developer to have some idea of the redevelopment plan.
Yep.
And the TIF would pass, that may,
Yep.
sort of direct them to what they want.
And I don't think there'd really be any reason to object to that. There were some other things I was going to say at the beginning of this next item anyway, which would allow us to be able to do that, because the citizens need to understand. Sometimes I know they get very frustrated when an item is before you, the council, and you say no to it, and then changes are made to that plan, and then it's brought back, and they feel like, well, I thought we said no to this. Well, the changes initiate the fact that it can be looked at again or reconsidered again. And there could be future changes then to even the plan that has been presented tonight. So it's not out of the ordinary that changes would be made and then a new conditional use permit request would be done in conjunction with that new redevelopment plan and new concepts. And one of the presentations about the senior center that's going to be held coming up here in a few minutes is a key part of that. I think, in having talked to a few of you, that if this potentially was part of a larger package that was solidified and actually all going to happen, maybe that would be a better thing for the community than just the multifamily the way it is. So I suppose with that we'll just go on. But yes, you're right. This one. Previous one didn't pass.
Okay. Item number 13, I'll open a public hearing to consider and possibly take action on a redevelopment plan entitled Redevelopment Plan for the SJAV Tenant Redevelopment Project.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And again, just remind the citizens, if you had gotten up during, say, the final plating or some other time and spoken about the nature of this particular use, be respectful to others that are here. That was kind of your opportunity to voice your concern about this particular use. If you didn't have an opportunity, though, obviously this is your chance as an official public hearing. This is a little unique, too, because state statute specifically stipulates that with these TIF developments that you have to have a public hearing, not just an opportunity during an agenda item to get up and speak. So this is going to be a separate public hearing piece, and then when we get done with that, the mayor is going to close the public hearing, and then we're going to go on to the next item. And the next item is going to be the actual action then on it. So there really isn't a vote on this particular piece. It's the held public hearing. Aaron, what map to bring up? Probably just something that would show the layout of the lots again. If you can figure out a good map in there, and it may be one of the previous ones. Again, the only thing I wanted to stress tonight as well is just that reminder that I kind of alluded to a second ago, for everyone to understand that just because tonight, you may feel like it went the way you'd like, you always have to pay attention because there could be some changes made, and those changes are significant changes, and that can take a project that maybe isn't as beneficial as you'd like to see it to one that is at least neutral or maybe positive in your eyes. And so I really don't have any other comments to make other than this is the opportunity for the public hearing regarding the TIF. Michael Sands, again, the city's TIF attorney, is going to get up, kind of remind you a little bit about that plan, because now as a council, you're really looking at it from what's good for the community, and is this a good use, both of the area and of the TIF. So thank you.
Madam Mayor, Council, Michael Sands, 1700 Farnham Street, Omaha, Nebraska. So I think we all have a pretty good idea of the project. So I'll just briefly touch on sort of the differences that have happened between the last council meeting and this one with respect to the plan and the TIF element. So really what we've done is just really segment off the three different sort of development phases, being the first phase, 110 multifamily units, the second phase being the commercial element, and then the third phase being a potential expansion of the multifamily. And what that does is it also segments the amount of TIF that you would authorize along with a redevelopment contract for each of those. So the first phase would be allocated 2.077 million. Second phase is 689,000, and the third is 1.66 million. And what that really means is, what is the city gaining from this? There's been a lot of, talk about public participation. Excuse me, and that's really what it is. It's there's been a lot of public participation for at the outset for this redevelopment plan. It would ensure that would continue for phases 2 and phases 3, and that there would be a reassessment of those phases at that time. Specifically, the stipulation with respect to phase 2 was that whatever use those commercial lots are intended to be, they have to be, there would be some sort of input or land control with respect to what could be there or couldn't be there. What exactly that means in the redevelopment contract or potential redevelopment contract hasn't been fleshed out. The important part is that you're saying up front this is going to be a negotiation, and it has to be something that the city and the citizens can appreciate and are good with. The stipulation with respect to phase 3 is really just a reassessment of the housing needs of the city and if more multifamily is actually needed. And that really went along to the last agenda item with the conditional use permit. That's the reason for not extending that conditional use permit all the way up into that third phase, because it's sort of to be seen whether that that extension of the multifamily would be desired at that point. So really, I think what we were trying to achieve by this was to really take in the feedback from the public and from council at the last meeting and implement it into the plan. And certainly, folks who just don't want multifamily at all, that wasn't going to, we can't, that's a big part of the project. They're not going to do away with that. But what we could implement is a degree of control over the project that exceeds the normal police powers, specifically like zoning of the city. So, it gives you it would give you the opportunity to have a bigger seat at the table as you normally have with respect to private development. And often TIF can give you that. That's kind of the point sometimes of TIF. It's a quid pro quo for both the city and the developer. So the city gets something it wants and the developer gets something it wants. So we were trying to achieve that through this phasing plan. Like I said, despite the last item failing, I still think it makes sense to really give good consideration to whether you want to approve the plan or not, because as we've seen, these things just from a process standpoint take time. So certainly if that conditional use permit never gets approved, even if you can approve this plan, it eventually becomes moot if that conditional use permit is never approved. But if it is eventually approved, then it's, you know, it allows us to not delay further, so to speak. So it's obviously at the council's discretion whether to approve or not. But from a procedural standpoint, I do think it makes sense to just consider this as a separate item from the last one. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Question, can you, in regards to this TIF, it was set at 15 years and a certain amount, 2 million and plus. Is there a way to negotiate not only the dollar amount, but the term of that TIF that would be more agreeable to the public?
So cities have broad discretion with TIF, and that would include, you know, having a program in place. What I would say is exactly that, though. It should not typically be on just a case-by-case basis. We want to negotiate this developer down, this one not. What you should do if you want to do that is, you know, work with me to get a program, like an actual program or document in place that kind of spells out, okay, well, for multifamily, we understand the, you know, the burden on the schools, or, you know, some of those things. And so we have some of these sort of stipulations that are a little different than normal TIF. But I think where you can get in trouble is applying those in, you know, it may not be arbitrary, but it could look arbitrary if you're not applying them equally pursuant to a policy for all applicants.
Yeah, I can see the concern with TIF in regards to the multifamily, but if you use TIF for other items, other things that didn't involve the multifamily side, where, you know, the 15 years is more agreeable, is going to go to help, you know, beautify downtown, for instance, like what we're hearing from the public, then that makes sense. I think that would set better. But a shorter term, I think everybody's concerned about the 15 years. You know, you're not in school for 15 years. So if you've got someone who's 4 or 5 years old, they're going to be graduated in that length of time, you're never going to see that tax benefit there. So I think that that term is a little bit scary, even though I know TIF can go out 20, 25 years or even further. But
Still just 20 now, but
it's 20
for the
but it's something that I think that, you know, that the public, you know, hearing from them and getting an idea as to what might be a comfort level for them, and not just, you know, because I agree, you know, the complex it's got its perks, it's got its positives, but obviously the public is not in agreement with that. So finding mutual ground would be a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean,
The other part of that is you don't live in an apartment for 15 years usually either.
No.
You live in there you want to get out of there as fast as you can, right? So, you know, then you're into a single family, hopefully you're in, you know, the school district that you've been at, and then those taxes start going.
Yeah, but you got someone that's
It's not like you're there for 15 years.
Someone's going to fill in the apartment though once it's become vacant, and that could very well be with another student. So, I mean, I think the
And hopefully
15
at
years
that
is
time
the
you're building more single family homes like we plan on doing
Yeah.
with Casey's.
Yep.
And so it's not an uncommon sentiment, the exact one that's been going on in this room. I represent a lot of cities across the state. It'd be nice if, like, the legislature, somebody would do a study on the actual intersection of schools and TIF, because to my knowledge, there's a lot of opinions. There's not a lot of hard data about how it actually interacts. It'd be a nice thing to have for all sides.
Well, the hard data is they're going to be between 6 and 10 students out of this complex, and either we pay them the $1,900 a year they get now, part of that, or 10 or 15 years they get more. That's the difference.
Well, yeah, so it's a windfall after 10 or 15 years, whatever it is. But are the economic drawbacks or burdens offset by economic benefits from increased sales tax, things like that? I mean, it's a really complicated sort of tornado of things that's hard to sort out.
Delayed gratification. I mean, eventually, and when they start paying, what was it, 355,000 a year or whatever the number was, there could be no kids living there at that time too. So
Yeah, it is a windfall. You know, it can be sometimes hard to see 15 years down the road, especially if the budget is tight now. But
school district will probably have money issues 15 years from now. So will an extra $350,000 help? That's kind of the things that you have to look at. Will the strain within the 15 years exceed, offset, be less than the benefit 15 years from now? Which is a fair question to ask. I'm not saying that the answer is always yes or no, but.
Sounds like a big crystal ball here.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from the public?
Logan Baker, Boeker, 505 North 24th Street. This is more a question for clarification. So the pump station was only for this development, is that correct?
No.
No. Okay. So then something would have to be figured out with the developer to make the pump station work, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. You wanna jump in here before I open it again?
Well, and again, I don't know if the developers have much more to say, but part of what we were going to present was we've been having some ongoing conversations with others in town who are Blair residents who have some desires and aspirations on doing some things. And so I'm going to ask Emily Peterson to come up, and she is a local resident who has been looking into this senior center idea, wants to talk a little bit about it. Again, emphasize, and I'm sure she will too, these are concepts right now that they're weighing with, but this would give at least the public the opportunity to kind of understand a little bit more about what possibly could happen with a phase 2 or a phase 3 that isn't necessarily exactly what the developer had originally envisioned. So, Emily.
Good evening. Okay, well, I wanted to thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today about the opportunity that has arisen with the RISE development, or Riser development. A few months ago, I had noticed the increased community engagement surrounding this project, and so it had caught my attention and I wanted to learn more about it. Since then, I've reviewed information on TIF in general as a program, looked at how it's used in other communities. I've studied Blair's historical use of TIF, and I've spoken with residents, elected officials, and community leaders that have all held a wide range of views. And I came into that process really without a position on this development. I just wanted to understand the concerns and the opportunities and differing perspectives. And what I found was that many of the residents, though certainly not all, really aren't necessarily opposed to development itself, but they're actually asking a very different question. What tangible public benefits does the community receive in return for public financing to redevelopment projects? So that question led me to explore the idea of community benefits as part of redevelopment moving forward for Blair. One concept that did emerge was the possibility of a senior center associated with one of the future phases of the Riser development, phase 2 or phase 3. As you know, Blair has discussed the need for expanded senior services for years, and there's been significant community discussion regarding daycare services and other quality of life infrastructure. The conversations that I've had with Riser, Gateway Development, city administrators, regarding the senior center have been valuable, and the concept has evolved with each of the discussions that we've had. As we're exploring how development goals and community priorities might be better aligned. So as it currently sits, we're looking to have a full-service senior center similar to the Fremont Friendship Center, where it would be a lean model. There'd be few employees. We would largely be relying on partnerships for the programming and the operations. And in doing so, that does keep staffing and overhead costs low to better promote long-term stability. And while each party has expressed continued interest and support, I do want to be clear that these discussions do remain preliminary, like Phil had said, and no formal commitments do currently exist. There are many factors for you to consider as you make your decisions moving forward with however the project evolves. And regardless of the outcome, I do hope that Blair continues exploring how community benefits can be incorporated into redevelopment moving forward. Through this process, it's become clear to me that development and community investment do not have to be competing priorities. And when thoughtfully aligned, they can really strengthen one another. And I hope you consider that moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Other comments from the public?
Good evening, Mike Rooks, Gateway Development, 162 North Linden Avenue, Council Bluffs, Iowa, 51503. We'll get through this. Couple things that I just want to make sure we're aware of. If we do not get TIF Phase 1 approved, we cannot go on to Phase 2 or Phase 3. That's just how it works. One thing that Gateway has been working with is, besides for the senior center, we are working with a daycare, we're working with a restaurant, and we're working with another retailer for this area and others, but this is the main area they're looking for. Without that TIF, this does not get developed. Therefore, we have to find other spots for them. So I just want to make sure that we're aware that we need commercial lots in town, but we need those commercial lots to get developed. So TIF is valuable for those pieces. Any questions?
No ice cream?
No ice cream. Not this time.
We have bunches.
I know. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Bart Moore, 841 North 24th Avenue, Moore. I'm sitting here and listening, and I find that the city and the people speaking for the city are in some way lobbying for this. Myself, I think they should state the facts, and that'll be it. You guys run the meeting, not the administrator and not anybody else. So I just don't understand how everyone that is coming up, they're introducing on their behalf, basically for this. I don't think that's right. The city should state the facts and be done. The same with the developer and anyone else. They've been up here multiple times showing you the same thing over and over and over. It hasn't changed. They're after $4.4 million. Nothing else. They say they love this community. They don't love it that much if they won't build this without that. Nielsen Construction, been in Blair his whole life. He gets no TIF money. He doesn't get any buddy slap on the back for any development he's done. In fact, he jumps through many hoops to do what he's done. And now, all of a sudden, for some reason, the administrator, the city people that you basically are in charge of, they're lobbying for this. Like I say, they should state the facts. They should sit down until you ask them a question about it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments from the public?
I'm going to use my name is Leo Mijares, Mijares. I live in 205 East 5th Street, Herman. I was going to use my tablet, but it died, so I'll have to, and I forgot my reading glasses. I want to thank you to have the opportunity to be up here and talk to you. My name is Leo Mijares. I live in Herman, here in Washington County. I'm a doctoral candidate. I spent time studying organizational risk and how decisions like this play out over the long term. You know, I really feel that these next two items tabled, 13 and 14, the redevelopment plan, the TIF, should be tabled until we have more information. I know there was a question earlier where somebody says the intersection between schools and TIF. In my quick search, there are some studies out there that show the effects of TIF in different communities. You just denied the conditional use permit for the apartments on this parcel. The land is now zoned commercial, and the multifamily plan where this TIF was written around is no longer in play. So before adopting a redevelopment plan and divert tax revenue, the honest question is, what exactly is a TIF financing? And I get it. They talk about the different phases, right? So that's pretty much it. I would kindly ask to table it to get more information. I'd be more than happy to help with that, just so we truly have the facts and how this is going to affect our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? Brenda, did we have any more in writing? I know we have a lot in our packet that are for and against.
Everything's.
Okay, right. If there's nothing else, I will close the public hearing. Item number 14, consider resolution 2026-075, approving a tax increment financing redevelopment plan entitled Redevelopment Plan for SJAV Tenant Redevelopment Project. Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things for you to consider on what you want to do on this particular item. Tabling it is one option. It's probably not the option that I would recommend because clearly you've said no to, at least tonight, for the conditional use permit with the plan the way it is. The plan needs to be revised significantly. That's going to require it to come back, even if it would get approved for some reason. If you table it, you kind of table it in its current condition, which you know doesn't work. It has to be revised anyway. So the reality is, if nobody, since it's a resolution, if no one introduces the resolution, it dies. The plan dies. It can be modified and then brought back sometime in the future, but there's really no significant difference between that and tabling it, other than by tabling it, you leave it kind of in its raw condition, which has to be looked at or at least amended at some point, but it needs to be amended anyway. So to me, it's cleaner and better for the public, I think, just still, if that's what you want to do, not have it introduced, the current plan goes away, and we'll see if something else can be put together sometime in the future, if that's what the developer desires to do. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I address the developers? Is that permitted?
Sure.
Mr. Amon, Mr. Reef, I'm sure this evening's probably been a bit of disappointment for you. But I want to tell you, I think that there's still some opportunity here, maybe a little bit further down the road. Some of the possibilities they've seen here are very exciting. I think that you might have a little bit better reception with some of the people, not all, some of the people here and maybe some of the members of the council, if we see a little bit more movement on some of these ideas about the senior center or some child care or a combination of that. I think that honey might make the bitter pill of a TIF go down a little bit easier. Some people here won't ever accept a TIF under any conditions, but I'm here to tell you, at least personally for me, and you can call it a quid pro quo or whatever you want, but if it gets this community a senior center, I'll trade you. I just think at this juncture, it's a little premature. Let's see, maybe a third time's a charm. I hate to say that. I hope this isn't completely sunk, because I think you do have a lot to offer. It's just a little premature yet. So I would encourage you to please don't give up. Don't give up on us. Just maybe see a little, maybe it needs to work with some people in the community and maybe partly with the city. But I think that there's still some possibility for this in the future. So just please, that's all I want to say.
How does council want to proceed? Does anybody want to make a motion or, oh?
I just had a question,
I'm-
can you clarify that?
Can I come up here?
It's so intimidating.
It is. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
And I did, this isn't public hearing, but if you have a question.
I just had a question, really.
Just state your name, please.
Tracy Hall, 1419 Linden Drive, HALL. I just kind of wondering if you do go ahead and vote on this, like, how does that work? So then is that just a TIF and there, another developer can come in and get that, or just kind of clarifying how it works? I don't.
No, another developer could not get TIF.
Okay, so.
This is specific for theirs.
So you would just be, okay, voting on this and they rework it and they come back, then it's already set up for them to be able.
If we vote on it.
Yeah, no, I'm just.
Right.
For clarification,
Yeah.
I don't know all this
If we vote on it
process.
as is, it would stay as is. But if we postpone it, then it would have to be reworked. And the discussion is perhaps we don't move it forward and it dies and it's still going to be reworked and possibly come back.
Okay. Okay.
Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it, you know, yeah. Thank you.
You bet. Council? With no motion, this item dies. Item number 15. Mr. Green, do you have anything else for your administrator report?
Yes, very briefly, thank you. Number one, again, to all those who attended, thank you very much for being here tonight, and we do appreciate your feedback. I guarantee you, your elected officials care a lot about what you have to say, and so appreciate that. Continue to be diligent. Again, if you want an exciting budget hearing, next week is going to be the budget hearing, and Brenda, 5:30, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll start at 5:30 that night for our budget hearing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Motion to
I
adjourn.
propose a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Blair City Council.
Second.
I have a motion, a second to adjourn the meeting. Please register your vote.
James did. It went over, yeah. He was that close. Yes, you had, you moved it to 10:15, didn't you? 10:25?
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very